So, I did watch Artemis Fowl because of my previous video on the terrible production of the movie. And I was very hopeful to be able to watch this in theater, but clearly Disney gave up real hard on this project, like dunking a baby into a ravine and hoping nobody catches it. That type of giving up on your project. It's bad. It's real bad. It's worse than I was expecting. And I had really bad expectations. I didn't really write a script for this review because trying to approach this movie with any sort of structure and logical mindset is just kind of pointless. This movie is almost entirely incomprehensible. It's just scene after scene after scene of things happening and you're never sure exactly what is happening and why. It is painfully obvious this is a movie that was made by a committee, and as I said, this committee did not give one single fuck about the production and making of this movie. I truly believe, and nobody can change my mind in this, Disney knew that this was not gonna make money halfway through the production, gave up completely, then we have all the delays, which I talked in my last video, and then we have a bunch of reshoots, and then we have whatever this is supposed to be, because it's not a movie and I do not know what it is. There was zero vision in the making of this movie. I don't think there was an idea or even effort put behind it, because what we are left with seems to be an unfinished project, even after several times of delays for quality. Yeah, I don't know whose quality it was for, but it wasn't for us. Like, when listening to the director talk about this movie in interviews,
he was a impressive, very, excellent collaborator. He does a fine job in the movie.
The best he can do for being excited is giving an unexcited description of the synopsis of the movie.
Artemis Fowl is 12 years old. His father, Artemis Fowl Sr., little does he know, is a criminal mastermind.
That's the director of the movie. He doesn't give you, why he was so interested in the project whatsoever. It's just, yeah, that's the movie. Cool. This movie is not, I wouldn't say his fault. It's not the director's fault. It's not the author's fault. It is 1000% due to meddling, heavy meddling of the behind the scenes. Trying to describe what happens in this movie is essentially an impossible task. Everything you saw in the trailers was a lie. If you were to just watch the trailer and never watch the movie, you have no idea what this movie actually is about. According to the trailers, this is supposed to be a movie where fairies, trolls, and other magical creatures bump heads with Artemis Fowl and his Misfits teams that has a tall dwarf and a fairy. That is not what happens in the movie whatsoever. Also, what doesn't happen in the movie is all of these scenes. There's so much footage in the trailers that never show up that it makes it obvious that the reason why this movie is so incomprehensible is because it looks to be missing about 40 minutes of footage. And I'm saying 40 because I'm being lenient. It's probably about an hour. They had halfway of a final cut and just took that and made a movie. That's really what this movie is like. And if I am to try, attempt, and fail at giving you an idea of what the plot of this movie actually is, it's basically Home Alone with fairies. So in the movie, we have this fairy girl get kidnapped by Artemis Fowl, and the rest of the movie, once she's kidnapped, is just a fairy army attacking Artemis on his house to get the fairy lady back. While this is happening, we have, quote unquote, a villain.
I will destroy everything you love.
and supposedly a goal that everybody's working for, but not really. And the reason why I compared this to Home Alone is that instead of using traps and comedy, Artemis Fowl just fights them with a magic sword and wins somehow.
Scared, Artemis?
A little bit, but I prefer scared to dead.
And the villain I mentioned, I would say that they are in the movie for about a total of 4 minutes. 4 minutes. He or she or they or this embodiment of an actress or actor not wanting to be in the movie because they never show their face, kidnaps Artemis Fowl's dad.
Your family has taken something of great value from us.
And then at the end, Artemis Fowl's dad is not kidnapped anymore. That's all that the villain does to the plot, is fuck all. I really don't know what this villain is. I have no idea what their character is, what their plan is, what their goals are, what their background is. This is truly hinting for a sequel. This movie, Artemis Fowl, directed to Disney Plus, a movie that they gave up halfway through. Yeah, they have the balls to hint at a sequel. How can you do that? Why would you do that? This movie is just completely filled from beginning to end with exposition lines about the world, characters' motivations, and things that are important about the conflict. And I have no fucking clue what all of these things I mentioned are about at all. And this is all due to the terrible, god-awful, not very good, very lazy. This movie moves so fast. It's going so fast. Rushed is not an appropriate word. Sonic speed would be more appropriate because they just do loop-de-loops, go around, dash and go forward and attack you at your head and expect you to understand and expect you to somehow be able to catch so many lines of dialogue one after the other, even though I'm pretty sure it would be physically impossible to do so. It feels like you're watching a movie at 1.5 times the speed of regular time. I'm sorry if I'm not being able to speak very well. This movie truly numbed my brain, and I'm trying my best to keep it in there because my brain is trying to erase every file correlated to Artemis Fowl as I speak. There's so much information thrown at you so quickly, one after the other. Every scene just blends into another because there's never enough time to breathe. There's no time to stop. If they stop, the movie dies. They're just dying to rush all the way through into the end credits. And they do that. This movie is 1 hour and 32 minutes. And if they could call this a movie and make it 2 minutes, they would have. It's just a complete mess. No character is given focus more than another. If you were to watch this movie not knowing the title and not watching this review, you wouldn't fucking know Artemis Fowl was supposed to be the main character. You would probably think that the fairy girl was supposed to be the main character because she has more of a background, more of an understanding goal, more of a conflict in the movie, and she's just more of a main character than he is. And I guess I should stop using the word character because that's just completely incorrect. It's just a falsehood. We don't have characters. We have simple traits walking around and delivering dialogue. Because there's no time to deliver a character. There's no time to form a character in this movie. There's barely any time for you to understand what type of world this is and what the context is supposed to be. There's nothing there. Oh, did you blink? It's been like 7 really important lines of context, and if you didn't listen to those, you will not understand what the movie is about. Oh, you didn't hear there was this magical shenanigan that can just grant wishes at will for anybody as long as they're a magic creature and that just solves every problem?
Our world has never been in more danger.
Good, you won't know what's happening for the rest of the movie. Oh well. Oh, did you blink again? It's been another 20 minutes. You've missed like 7 characters, 14 different subplots, every single thing about the magic world, and we're back at Artemis' house. The majority of this movie were in the stupid mansion, and I know why. Because I did way too much research for my previous video. It's because they built the goddamn thing for no goddamn reason. Nobody's gonna visit. It's in the Ireland rainy city and nobody's watching your movie. Why didn't you just rent a set and then rent a mansion for like 4 weeks? Because that seems to be the amount of footage and the amount of time you were able to put these things together. The pacing really is the worst part of this movie because it just hits you so consistently, you can't stop to understand what is in front of your eyes. You just can't because it just flies by and hits you like a plane. Something else I want to talk about is the ugliness of the movie. Who did this? Why did you do this, sir? Whoever did the color grading / color correction, what were you thinking? Why did you decide to color grade this towards a weird, ugly brown? I know you were trying to hide the really unfinished CGI that surrounds the entire movie, but I don't know why you chose an ugly brown. For some scenes, it just looks like somebody threw an overlay of brown for the scene and it's just like, yeah, that's good, that's the filter we want. It looks like a shittiest sepia tone filter from Instagram. That's how bad it looks. Like, I looked at the behind the scenes and sometimes the costume that they wear don't look that bad. It looks a little bit weird that they're all green, but the behind the scenes without any hint of CGI of the people wearing green looks better than what they look like in the movie, supposedly after color grading and touching it up with CGI. I don't understand. There are scenes that we can see in the sky where the sky is brown. Why did you just put mud everywhere? Why? I get that they're underground, but don't make it look like shit. Like actual shit. Why is this shit brown? I'm sorry. It's just... it's just so ugly. And also, there are practical effects in the movie, right? Like the costumes and other things, like the goblins. And the goblins, you can tell that they have practical things like their ears and a little bit of their face, but they still put a little bit CGI just smeared on top of the practical effects for no reason. So when you're looking at it, your brain is like, there is a real object there, and then some idiot put a bunch of shit program on top of it, and now my brain doesn't like what it sees, and I hate it. Get it out of the screen. Get it out of the movie. Stop doing this, and just go away. Go away, movie. Shoo, you're bad. Stop it. I'm gonna say a few more things before the movie completely leaves my brain because it's doing this as I speak. It's just, there's barely anything left. I'm telling you, the only thing I remember about the movie is probably 20% of scenes because the rest was just burning the rest of my capacity to keep up with the pace. So the first thing I have to mention is the kid that plays Artemis Fowl is not good at all.
All right, save my father. Save the world.
Now, I know, he's a kid. Oh, don't bully the children, Matt. They're so sensitive. Oh my god, don't bully the child. Look, I get it. It's the casting director's fault for casting a kid that cannot act for shit. I get it. But the kid is supposed to be an Irish child. His accent fluctuates back and forth constantly by things that mostly don't sound like they're Irish, and when they do is not a very good attempt at sounding Irish.
Scared, Artemis?
I prefer scared to dead.
And he just cannot emote. for shit. He just can't. His dad got kidnapped and he thinks he might be dead and he just goes, "Dad, come back, please, Dad, no." Yes, every other actor is just phoning it in and not trying very hard and just asking for their checks, but at least... Actually, there's not at least at all. There's no positives I can say about this movie. It's just a complete shit show, and it's just, let's continue, I guess. The other thing I have to talk about is the sound editing. Sometimes, I don't know why, the soundtrack is so freaking quiet, you will miss it. I would be like 80% through a scene, and I'm like, wait, there's music in the background. What is this? I did not realize. And it's not like it faded in. It's just my brain was stopped listening to the dialogue because it understood it did not matter at all. So it started paying attention to other things, like the background music being barely audible. Also, there are times where I genuinely could not hear the dialogue because there was just like, there was 4 sentences in 3 seconds, oh well.
Your 5 years trying to face it.
I will never know what the important bit of exposition was. Goodbye, goodbye, sir. Thank you for not making me understand your movie. It's such a bad soundtrack too. I don't remember any sound of music in it. I don't remember any tracks. I don't remember any attempts at a theme. That is really impressive. You don't understand how hard it is to put this movie back together into my brain. It's like trying to put pieces of a puzzle together, but you're missing half of the puzzle and none of the pieces fit together. It's just a completely amorphous blob of a movie, and it's just an ancient creature that gives you a vision, and you're just like, I've lost track of time. I don't know where I am. What is this? Is a thing you're gonna say a lot about this movie. Like a lot, like literally all the time. You never stop asking yourself what is happening. You will be sinking into your floor and you will be seeing the chaotic downhill turn of the movie, and you will not be able to hold it into anything that resembles reality. That is what it feels to watch this movie. I cannot explain what it is like because you have to watch it to believe me. Once you watch the movie, you will see that this nonsensical review is actually fairly close to what it feels to watch this movie, so you're welcome. I saved you some time. I am truly trying really hard right now to come up with anything else I can think of about the movie that I haven't said already, and I can't. The movie is trash, awful, and garbage. It's put together so poorly you wouldn't believe. It's not like the good type of stitching together, like, you know, a nice couch, a vintage couch from like 1800s. No, it's the type of stitching you go into a back alley to the guy that promised you a discount if you give him a sandwich. That's the type of stitched together that this movie is. And if I was not able to give you any more context, any more understanding of what this movie actually is like, that's because the movie did not provide me with those things. I cannot give you understanding because I have none. If you're gonna watch Artemis Fowl, I don't know why you would. You're not gonna understand what's happening, but if you do, can you tell me what happened? Please, anybody, just tell me what happened. That's all I'm asking for.